I feel like my microphone is a bit too low. Let me just get a little comfortable. Let me get comfortable. I think everything's set up. Yeah, I think we're on a roll. Okay, we are on a roll. Hello beautiful people, my name is Chalanda Deborah. You have clicked on this video, so I would like to properly and officially welcome you to my channel. To start off, do we want a little introduction, not introduction, more of like a little background story on your girl, which is me, since she's been pretty much non-existent, if we're gonna use the right terms, for the past, I don't know, 8 months, 10, 9, pushing, maybe 8. I think we should start off with that, set things straight, and move on from there. Yeah? Okay. So for those who don't know me, I first came on this platform, YouTube, about a year ago. My first video was super cute. I came on here with a little Q&A type of video. After that one video, I came out with maybe 3 or 4 more videos on YouTube. The last one being a Valentine's Day try on haul. I really wasn't on this platform. I mean, I would post once in a while, but that was it, right? Never was consistent on YouTube, to be honest. That's pretty much all there is to my little background story when it comes to YouTube. But I can say that I've always been active and present on my other socials like Snapchat and Instagram, especially Instagram, as you can probably tell. I ended up disappearing from those platforms as well a couple months after my last video that I posted on YouTube. So yeah, all of this happened in 2021. I know I'm just like throwing events at you and you're probably lost, or you might not know when things happen exactly, but we'll get into that in a bit. I will be using the term disappearing a lot just because that is literally what I did. Like, coming from someone who was very active on their socials, I used to post on my socials like 2 or 3 times a week, like my socials being Instagram and what is it, Snapchat. Yeah, I would post like 2 or 3 times a week. I was just very consistent just because I had this vision of me growing tremendously on social media. Like, I really wanted to become an influencer. Like, if we're gonna keep it real, I am gonna keep it real, at least. Baby, I wanted to make money off of social media, and who knows, maybe become a full-time YouTuber. That was the goal, right? And I really was trying to attain it. But yeah, that definitely did not go as I planned at all. And most of you watching this can probably tell by simply looking at my channel, or just because you know me from somewhere. But why is that? How come my dream that seemed so realistic and was well thought out ended up failing? After all, I was on my schnitz, you know? I was really consistent with it. I would be posting a lot, like reels, videos, and what else was I doing? I don't know, keeping up with my algorithm and doing all that extra stuff people tell you to do when you're trying to make it on social media, or, you know, when you're trying to blow up on social media. But here we are. After going through a long, forced analyzation process, I came to the realization that there were multiple reasons for that epic fail, as I would like to call it. Now that I'm sitting here in front of a camera again, I can say this with my whole chest. That little dream of mine that I had never could have worked. First of all, because it was not a part of God's plan for my life. Like, it was not a part of God's plan for my life, and now I know this, right? Second of all, because my motives regarding this dream project were completely my motives were completely wrong. My priorities were not even set straight for me to get to that place I was trying to get to. My priorities were just like all over the place, right? And this is what I'll dive into today. These 3 major aspects that led me astray from that dream I had set at the time, and eventually drew me to withdraw from literally everything and everywhere, including my most valuable friendships, which sounds kind of sad, and was. Have you ever tried asking a 6-year-old child what she or he wants to become when they grow up? I can assure you that 90% of the answers that you'll get will sound silly, but like in a cute and innocent way, right? You'll probably get answers like, I want to become a mom, I want to be a princess, Spider-Man, Batman, a mermaid, or
only cashier at Walmart.
A cashier at Walmart. Yes, girl, I love that video. My case though has always been a little particular, because see, I always had this vision of myself becoming this famous something, you know, this famous somebody. Growing up, I wanted to become a famous dancer. Then a couple years later, I switched over to a famous model, then a famous makeup artist, and then I finally settled on the fact that I wanted to become a famous influencer. And for those who don't know what an influencer is, because I keep saying that word, but some of y'all might be like, what the heck is an influencer? Here's a little definition to clear that up. So according to the internet, an influencer is a content creator with social media following. They develop a following by sharing quality content that inspires, entertains, informs, and connects them with their followers. Influencers start social conversation, drive engagement, and set trends among a receptive audience, which positions them to work with brands on sponsored content. There you have it, an influencer, and that is what I wanted to do. And ultimately, there is literally nothing wrong with being an influencer. Like, even hearing that definition makes that job sounds just beautiful and convenient, extremely convenient and great, honestly, when you do it for the right reasons. You see, based on the 2 or 4 professions I mentioned earlier, there's only one word that remained the same, and that is fame. Like I mentioned, famous model, famous dancer, famous makeup artist. Was that it? I don't know, but fame is an aspect that has always been a part of the vision I had for my future life, and it's always been like that from a very young age, unfortunately. I can't even blame myself for thinking that way since young, because that is literally all I grew up to know by watching YouTubers and influencers just showing off their perfect lives on social media. That is what I grew up on, because that is what I chose to watch. But obviously it affected my perception over the years, right? And that is definitely not an excuse that I'm trying to use right now, because I know that we hear that often. People making a big fuss about how social media influencers have a negative impact on the youths because of their unrealistic and sometimes toxic lifestyles. But that is not what I'm here to speak on, and I'm not trying to use that as an excuse to cover up for my selfish motives. Nonetheless, I do acknowledge that as a young girl who had a strong interest in the beauty and fashion industry, looking at all those influencers and celebrities created this perception of success that I unconsciously tied to the industry that I was trying to reach. In my mind, being an influencer equaled being wealthy and successful. That was the reality I was living in, and so slowly but surely, stardom and affluence became the dream. Let me tell you this one thing. You cannot base your goals and your projects on other people's praises. That will ultimately lead you to failure. That literally translates into you giving up who you are and what you believe in just to receive momentary acclamations at the end. Yes, your name will circle around. Yes, you will receive lots of tributes and acclamations. But then what? You know, like, what comes after that? These things will not last long because there was never anything concrete behind that project you launched. The foundation was never pure. The intention behind it was never pure. Honestly, once you decide to give up what you stand for and who you are for futilities, for foolishness, and many other synonyms you can use in this case, it's hard to go back. Really. To get back to that stable state, if you will, to what you've known, to what you used to be, what you used to stand for. You start to fall easily for all these new things that seem so desirable on the surface. You start to lose yourself without even realizing it, and that's the crazy part. So since stardom and affluence became the dream in my life, everything I planned revolved around that only. Yeah. I had no intentions to inspire people, to help others, to educate people. Child, just to be useful. I wanted to be praised for what I was bringing to the table. What was I bringing to the table, you'd ask me? A very good question. Me. That's one. I said it twice, but it's one. Me, my beauty, and my creativity. If you asked me at the time, like, what is it that you're bringing to the table? That's what I was bringing to the table. And I really thought that was enough. That was enough to get me where I wanted. That was enough to get me to that place of fame and child wealth. But no, my motives were based on greediness. And it's just, even saying that just sounds so ugly. And it's sad. I want to bring you to a specific verse as it relates to what I'm saying right now. In 1 Timothy 6 verse 9 to 10, it says, "But people who long to be rich fall into temptation and are trapped by many foolish and harmful desires that plunge them into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, and some people, craving money, have wandered from the true faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows." How tragic is that? Love for money is the only thing mentioned in this verse, but I feel like this can tie into so many other little things of this world that can lead you to sorrows, lead you to destruction, lead you to depression, and the list goes on. The two things I was really trying to achieve, which were wealth and fame, really can and does tie into this verse, because they both plunged me into destruction when I wasn't even aware of it. You might not realize what it's doing to you in the moment, but you will eventually experience les retombées, the repercussions. You will. I was brought up in a typical Christian African family home, like literally, where church was mandatory on every Sunday, no matter how sick you tried to seem. Yeah, no, that didn't work. Where we would pray each time we arrived at a family member's house, where we, the children, attended youth getaways, like going on like Christian retreats for like the weekends and all that stuff was pretty fun, right? So naturally I grew up knowing that I was a Christian, knowing that praying before a meal, praying in the morning, praying before bedtime was what I did as a Christian, right? I didn't know much about God. I didn't really know who he was, except from what I had learned from church and other people's experiences of him. But I always had this feeling in my heart. It's like I just knew that he was there, that he existed, that he was real. But that's it, nothing more. So from that little knowledge I had of God, I would pray once in a while. Not often, but I would. It's just always something I did despite the sins I did, despite the scandalous behaviors I had, and despite the circumstances. I somehow always found myself back to prayer until I decided to live une vie de débauche, as the French would say it. That's when I started my promiscuous and wild party life era, if you know what I mean. At this point of my life, I had started taking social media a bit seriously, just a little bit, and I was living it up, quite literally. I was always on the go, doing things I had no business doing, at places I had no business being, with people I had no business being with. That was me. But like I mentioned, despite what I was doing and for how long, I somehow always found myself back on my knees praying to Lord Jesus above, as if it was a lifestyle, as if I was a woman of prayer. I am telling you, this is actually funny, because looking back, it's like, girl, I can laugh at it now, but when I think of it, I'm like, girl, you should be ashamed. But at the time, I thought I was doing the thing, girl. Living it up outside and living for Jesus inside. But on a serious note, during those 2 years, it really felt like my faith was on this endless roller coaster, which did not feel good because I never really knew where to situate myself. I was really always balancing with the two, the world and my faith. But compared to the other years that I would get invested in my faith momentarily, 2021 was really the year I started experiencing God on a more personal and deeper level, if I can say it like that. I could feel my desires changing little by little. Like I would do the same things as before, record for YouTube, take pictures for Instagram and all that stuff, and go out. I don't know if this makes sense, but something wasn't right. My desires were starting to change and I couldn't put a hold on why, how. I promise you, I felt like I was going through a midlife crisis because everything was happening so abruptly and I didn't have enough time to process the change or to understand it, you know? The more I would think about it, this feeling would come up. I had this in my mind. I was like, okay, I think God is calling me to pull back, to take a step back from the lifestyle that I was living in that was literally starting to eat me up inside. But I didn't know how he wanted me to just pull back or when he wanted that to happen. I didn't know if it was a decision that I had to make or if he was gonna make it for me. Everything was just so mixed up in my head. Like, I had no answers to nothing. That was happening near the end of May, right? So maybe beginning of June, I finally took the decision to take a step back, to close everything, to disappear from the surface of the earth. I call it quits and never went back. I took the decision to close all my socials and to devote all my time and energy and my heart to this journey I knew the Lord was calling me to, this hidden season that I was being called to without knowing what to expect from it. To be honest, it was difficult and confusing. Most of the things you'll experience will only last for a season, right? Because that's what he says in his word. But as soon as that season is over, it's like, boom, you're in a whole new season. You have to relearn, readapt, leave your old ways behind. And ooh, it's a lot. The best thing about it is he always makes you come out of each season stronger and wiser and just more prepared for the next. As long as you're still breathing on this earth, he's never going to be done with you. Like, there's always going to be something new that you'll have to go through, that you'll have to experience. It's always for the better, but it's like these things are confusing and difficult to get through if you think you're going to get through it on your own, for sure. So ultimately, going through this hidden season is what I was referring to earlier on by forced analyzation process and disappearing. All those happened because I was in this hidden season. God was taking his time to work in me so he could work through me. Going through this really just opened my eyes to what I was doing at the time, the way I was constantly deciding to show up in the world, the way I was consciously deciding to show up in the lives of the people whom I claim to love, because Lord knows nothing about me and nothing about what I was doing was beneficial to the people in my life, to the people I claimed to love. Like, that's literally the worst, to have someone in your life who doesn't bring the best out of you, who doesn't inspire you or influence you in a good way. It's pretty sad not to have that. And it's sad to think that I was that person, you know? It took me a while to accept that. If I'm being really honest, it took me a while to really accept who I was. The season demanded a lot of me, emotionally and mentally, because you're never prepared for that. You're never prepared to go through this lonely and dark place where you're just there and you have to face your flaws, you have to face yourself, you have to face life by yourself. You thought everything was going well in your life and then boom, realize that no, that was not true. Realize that there's so many things wrong with you. Realize that you think you be doing the right things helping others around you when in reality you're not. It was tough to sit there and take that in. It was like one hit after the other, after the other, after the other. That hurt. That really hurt. And it's like you have to go through this by yourself. Well, God was there with me, but it's like physically no one can understand what I was going through as I was trying to understand it myself and go through it at the same time. It was like, okay, God, you brought me in this place. Now you're throwing all these things in my face, and it's like, damn, how am I even supposed to, like, you're not even giving me the time to cope with them. He was giving me the time and the tools, but I was not wise enough to know which one to use. But, you know, wisdom comes with time. It took me a good moment to even acknowledge this and to accept that my behavior, trash. The way I was acting and showing up in the world, and it was not it. And that dream that I was chasing to become an influencer had amplified that behavior times 10, times 20. My heart was full of desires and dreams that I would often pray about, like those rare times that I got on my knees to pray. Yeah. And now I really understand, and I know why God never really gave those desires to me, never really made them happen in the way I wanted them to happen, at least. This reminds me of another verse in James 1:43. It states, "And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what gives you pleasure." And it's as simple as that. I had my plans that I had set and envisioned for practically every sphere of my life, including my spiritual life, and I was just expecting God to ride along, to come in for the ride, just go with the flow, go with my flow, go with my plans, go with what I wanted. That time spent hidden was really needed. He was calling me to it so he could reveal himself to me and so he could answer my prayers, but in his way and on his terms, which are 10 times better than mine. Like Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the plans of the Lord that will prevail." We could have so many plans and so many projects for our lives, which ultimately could be good, could be meant for good, but if they're not a part of God's plan for your life, best believe they will not happen. This is legit like an invite from me to you. When things are starting to get blurry and you're starting to lose your balance in life, it's okay to take a step back, to just press pause for a minute. Those are the pivotal moments God uses to reach out to us in ways that we've never seen him before, and it's always amazing. This big plan and dream I had to become this famous influencer and famous full-time YouTuber, whatever, was never what he called me to do. And he clearly showed it to me by changing my desires little by little, but even more during my hidden season. When I tell you that 2021 was supposed to be my prime year, okay? My realizing my goals, achieving my goals, focusing on me. It was my me year, okay? I was really working hard trying to achieve my goals while I was trying to understand myself better, understand my faith, and you know, I was trying to do that while I was in a relationship trying to build something good, build something that would last. While I was overwhelmed with school, trying to deal with online and boosting my grades and things not working. School was really hard at that time. It was my second year in college and it was hitting. Yeah, it was pretty tough. And on top of that, I was trying to maintain a social life. It was a disaster. Why do we always feel like we're superheroes? I just want to understand that. Is it a thing with Black women, or just a thing with women in general, or just people in general? Like, is it a human being thing? We just always think that we can take loads and loads and loads of things, take it on and deal with everything. I think it's a women's thing. We're not meant to deal with everything on our own, and I'm still learning that, to be honest. My eyes were not set. They were not focused on anything in particular. They were more like wandering around, jumping from one situation to another. I dealt with stuff not by a matter of priority, but more based on how I felt. So it was like, if I feel like doing this today, I'll do it today. If I don't feel like dealing with this tomorrow, I won't deal with this tomorrow. And that caused me. If I really took the time to sit down and lay out everything that I was trying to invest my time in, all my projects, I strongly believe that I could have avoided so much. I could have went in and dealt with everything with some kind of strategy, you know? Although I'm sure that doing that would have been great, I'm pretty sure that the outcome would have been pretty much the same as far as for the hidden season, because one thing about God is when he says that it's your time, best believe that it's your time. You can't control that. If God says today's your time, child, come to me, there's no running away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why my dream that first started as a little inoffensive and innocent dream turned into an epic fail. You can definitely tell that the quality has changed. I switched over from my camera to my phone because my battery died once again. Sorry about this abrupt change, but I just wanted to be done with this video. This is basically like a new departure, if you will. As my friend Esther would say, when you know better, you do better, right? Now I know better, and I know that I am not gonna try to control every little thing. I'm not. I'm just gonna like lay back, let God do his thing, because he's God, right? And I'm not. So I'm excited to just be obedient in this season, to see what he's gonna do through me and how he's going to impact the people that he's gonna bring on this channel. I'm really excited about that. But in this season, honestly, I hope to provide help and guidance to whoever needs it and is willing to take it, to be honest. We're put on this earth to grow physically, spiritually, and mentally. If we can't even be there for each other and help each other grow, our presence in people's lives is pretty much useless. I don't believe that we're just supposed to be in people's lives just to stay there and look cute. No. We all have a purpose. We're all here to serve others in different ways, in love. And so I don't know about y'all, but I want that to be my testimony, and I want that for you guys too. I just want to thank the Lord for allowing me to get through this video, first of all, because I was a little stressed out to start. I thank you for watching this video till the end. That means a lot to me because you didn't have to, but you did, so thank you. This sums up this video. I hope you took something from it. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.